Hi, welcome to Sewist. My name's Corinne Brad, and today I've got an easy project for you to make some reusable, washable, planet-friendly sandwich bags from beeswaxed cotton. And they are quite simply just a bag with a small feed sack bottom on it that you just fold over on your sandwiches, and then you can put it in a reusable lunchbox. But it's a alternative to cling film or tin foil, which just gets chucked in the bin. So I don't know if you have ever seen our beeswax cloth creating project over on the Craft channel. If you haven't, I'm going to do a quick demo for you now. Protect your work surface with a tea towel. I'm sorry I didn't iron this tea towel beforehand. And grab yourself a baking tray. Preferably a baking tray with a lip around it so that the wax doesn't spill over the edge of it. And then I've made beeswax blocks with cat hair in them, funny enough. And this is a mixture of, I'd say, 3 parts beeswax, 1 part coconut oil, and a few drops of jojoba oil to give it a certain amount of suppleness. It's not going to give you the stickiness that the resin does, but to be honest, I don't like that pine resin. And I use these beeswax wraps at home for wrapping my cheese, for wrapping food up, for wrapping up sandwiches if we're going out. And you wash them in warm water, rinse them out, hang them up to dry, and they work beautifully. So quick demo how I do it. Lay your fabric face down on your baking tray. Find your vintage travel iron which doesn't have steam holes. If you can't find a travel iron or you can't find an iron without steam holes, you can do this. But what you'll find is you can't ever use it to steam again because you're going to rub your block on the surface of your hot iron. And you will find, while it's hot and while you're ironing, the wax will drip out of your steam holes. But you will find that it will clog up. But you can simply iron this wax into the cloth. And the reason you put it face down is so that you can see that your cloth is completely saturated with the melted wax. And then to make sure that you don't have too much wax build up on your cloth, I'm just going to put a little bit more there. What you then want to do is take your half that you've waxed and lay it face down and remove those random pieces of thread, I don't know where they've come from the sticky surface. Fold your unwaxed piece back on top of it and then iron so that any residue or any excess wax that's on that half that you've covered in wax then soaks into your top part, and it means you get a much better even layer. Now there's only so much wax that will spread to the top, so if you find that you have got some bald pieces, you're just going to have to reapply a bit more. But try and get the coverage as good as possible, because the trick to these bags is it makes them, well, airtight virtually. So it does keep your food fresh. They are especially good for cheese. I hate the fact that if you leave cheese in cling film in the fridge, it seems to sweat and go mouldy quicker than you can eat it. Whereas with a beeswax wrap, what it will do is it will dry, it will harden on the outside, but it doesn't ever go mouldy. And if you're grating it, it doesn't really make any difference. Especially if you're melting it, it won't make any difference. So let's just turn that iron off before I go any further. and leave that on the side to cool. So you've got your beeswaxed sheet. Now that's quite flexible at the moment because the wax is still hot. I'm going to just have 2 pieces of beeswax that I used earlier. And as you can see, they're not really stiff. They are still flexible, but they're sturdy and they're airproof. So to make the bag, simply pair up 2 rectangles of whichever size you like, but allow a couple of centimetres in both diameters for a seam allowance. And stitch along the bottom edge. And then also, so that you don't have to worry about fraying seams, if you just trim that seam allowance with a pair of pinking shears, you'll get rid of any odd threads that developed as you were waxing the fabric. But because that fabric has been waxed, it almost acts like a sealant, and you shouldn't get any stray fibres come off it. We'll do the 2 sides in exactly the same way. You know when you can just tell that your studio manager is going to have a go at you for all the multiple pieces of strange green fabric that are found lurking for the next 3 weeks because you're making such a mess trimming this fabric up? Well, I'll make some attempt to put them in the bin. And then just to do the top edge, again, so that doesn't fray. And then just to make the feed sack bottom, if you pop your hand inside the bag and push that corner and flatten it to make a triangle so that your side seam here and your bottom seam here are sitting one on top of the other, and simply, you don't need a huge amount, I'd say 2 centimetres in, stitch right across that point at an angle. Chop it off. Oh, nearly chopped the stitching off. Do the same on the other side. Put your finger in the point to make a triangle. Manipulate the seams so they sit one on top of the other. And sew straight across. Rather like the fold flat fabric basket project that we did not so long ago. It's the same kind of construction, but because this is just a sandwich bag and you've used pinking shears on your seam so they don't fray, you don't need to line it. But you do get a nice bag that can take the depth of a doorstep sandwich, and you can just fold over the top, even if you double fold it and use a couple of little plastic, I know, but this is plastic that can be reused again and again. Fold it over the top to keep your sandwiches fresh in your handbag or your lunchbox. And you can make them in any size that you like for any size sandwich. Hope you like that. Hope you'll come back and see us again very, very soon. Till then, thanks for watching. If you've been inspired to create, please share your makes with us in the comments section below. And if you've enjoyed videos by the Crafts channel, hit the like button. Want to see more of us? Then click subscribe. See you next time.